Hello everyone and welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss Modern's most competitive tribe and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. My name is Kody. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show and not Kody Smith on Twitter. And I'm joined by my co-host...
Matt. I'm here.
Yeah, Matt's back. Matt's back, baby. Where can we find you on the Twitter?
I'm at Matthew Caudelate doing stuff. I apologize. I was coming onto the show about like 2.5 months ago, and I saw a balloon, and I started chasing it, and I just kind of kept going, and then I had a beard, and I helped a guy create the smiley face T-shirt, and then a lot of people started following me. It was really odd.
I feel like they should make a movie about this. This seems like a solid gold story. Well,
I mean, if they do, they should focus on my shrimp boat captaining.
Yeah,
so that's another day. That's another day.
That's a very solid idea. I think they should get on that. Hollywood. Yeah, I forgot what show. It was from Bob's Burgers. Hello, the media. But
yes, no, it's great to be back. I apologize to everyone that I've been a little MIA. So I had some IRL come up, but I am back for now. I probably will not be as frequent as I was back when we first started the cast, but I am going to be a preferred guest. I think. I don't know. Maybe you can still call me a co-host. We'll see how Kody loves me.
Co-host emeritus.
Co-host emeritus. I like it.
It's like your family donated a building or a bench to the university, and so you're welcome back to that frat house. You have lifetime party privileges. And remember that you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as the username FishCastMTG. We're also on TikTok now. I've been doing little quick Merfolk history videos, just going through Merfolk and talking about like their competitive finishes, their art, that sort of thing. It's in short.
You're too old for TikTok,
dude. I am not too old for TikTok. I'm a young man.
Are you between the ages of 5 and 13? Then
no.
Yes, you're too old for TikTok.
Apparently, I'm too old for Snapchat, but I'm not too old for TikTok. But in any case,
you're not too old for. I'm too old for Snapchat. You can still do that one.
Oh, I can still do Snapchat. You can snap. I do have a Snapchat. I just don't use it very much. My Snapchat's not Kody Smith, to the shock and awe of everybody. So if you want to snap at me, slide in my DMs. But how about the random Merfolk? Matt, you got to pick the random Merfolk this time because it has been some time.
I did.
And you really went deep on this random Merfolk.
I did, actually. This one's super spicy. I picked number 7 because why not? And I got Arctic Merfolk. This is one of the ones I love because I've never seen it before, and there's just some really cool things going on here. So Arctic Merfolk is 1 blue and 1 for a creature Merfolk. It's a 1/1, and it has a lot of text. It has kicker. Return a creature you control to your owner's hand. And for those of you who don't know what kicker is, because it's a pretty old mechanic, it's you may return a creature you control to your owner's hand in addition to any other cost as you play the spell. So sometimes the kicker is additional mana, sometimes it's doing an action like returning a creature to the owner's hand, like in this card, yada yada, whatever. So if you paid the kicker cost, Arctic Merfolk comes into play with a 1/1 counter on it. It's a common from Plane Shift, so yeah, pretty old, and I don't think it's been printed again, as far as I know.
It has not. It has only been printed in Plane Shift. So it's legal in Legacy, Vintage, Pauper, Commander, and Penny Dreadful.
And here's where it should stay. But you know what? In like so it's a common. This card has some fins, I think. In a kind of a budgety Merfolk Commander deck, I can see this being playable. And potentially a like a Pauper Cube, I can see this being playable, mostly because of that kicker cost, because you're getting a Grizzly Bear essentially, but you're also getting a return a creature you control to your hand. So like if you want to do like all that kind of like a bouncing effects, it's kind of just a kind of cheap, easy way to do that. Like not amazing, but there's actually something here that doesn't make it just hot garbage. It's lukewarm garbage, but garbage I can stomach.
Yeah, and if you think about formats like Commander, there's lots of creatures that have ETBs. There's lots of things that you can do. So, like, if you have things like Vidalcan Ori that give your creatures flash, you could flash this guy in to save a creature from removal. There are definite, you know, not incredibly corner case scenarios where this can be really good. I mean, just think about it. Like, you could bounce back like Brutalizer Exarch or Eternal Witness.
Yep.
Basically anything you can protect your combo piece. There's just a lot to do with Arctic Merfolk, and it's honestly not too bad. I think it would be cool if we could play it alongside Silvergo Adepts. So we could rebounce. We could reveal this as the reveal with Silvergill, and then replay it, and then bounce Silvergill and replay Silvergill again, and kind of get a little value going. But unfortunately, not modern legal.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would be played in modern Merfolk, but man, it'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be super upset if, like, in a casual game, I was like, "Hey, can I play with 4 Arctic Merfolk?" I'm sure that nobody would be mad at me if I did that one time, but
no.
Because you're not honestly getting a whole lot of extra value by playing this a grizzly bear. Let's just call it what it is, and it's just interesting. It's cool.
Yeah, I like it. And real quick before we move on, the art here is just super neat. It's like an old school, like oil painting type artwork. It's the kind of art you won't see on Magic cards anymore. So Ron Spears just kind of killed it. This is 2001 is when this was printed, so 18 years ago. But man, yeah, Ron, you killed it. Good job.
Yes, Ron Spears has done a few kind of more notable Magic cards like Achroma Angel of Wrath. Let's see here, a Togatog. There's a couple good cards.
I
here.
love me a Togatog. I literally put a Togatog commander deck put together. It's so goofy. I love it.
He also did Dark Confidant, the original Dark Confidant art.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'm looking. Engineered Explosives, Flamekin Village, Flicker Form. There's a couple cards in here that Goblin, the original 7th edition Goblin King art. Ink Eyes Servant of Oni. Yeah, there's a couple, and he did the really beautiful island art from Lorwyn that looks like it's of Glen Elendra. So yeah. Ron Spears is a veteran of Magic the Gathering art. So thank you again, Ron. You really killed it with Arctic Merfolk. I'm sure he's really listening. Oh, and Astral Slide. Why didn't I think of that one? Yeah, Astral Slide. That was the deck back in the day for you youngins. All right, cool. So we're gonna jump into we kind of have 2 sort of main topics for this episode. One, we're gonna be timely about something, which is, Matt, you and I are not known for being timely about anything.
No. I literally just got lost for like 3 months, so yeah.
And this is
not my thing.
Modern has had some pretty serious bans just today, and that's kind of
cool.
I
mean, I'm stoked. So cards on the table. For the last, God, I can't even think about how long, at least since Pioneer got launched, and probably a little bit before that, I have been completely out of Modern. I think the format's been stale. I think it's been boring. And especially with, I'm 100% all in on Pioneer. I think Pioneer's fantastic. And I thought Pioneer was just going to be the death nail of Modern. I think this might help. Modern needs to diversify itself to be something completely different than Pioneer and Legacy. It needs to be somewhere in between those two. So hopefully now that we're getting the power level down a little bit, we might get there.
Yeah, and I think just a lot of these cards, the cards that were banned, maybe one of them, we'll talk about them in a moment, but I think that the cards that were banned, it was kind of one of those things that it was one of those, if not now, then when.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the first one that I don't think anyone will be surprised by, and that's Oko, Thief of Crowns. Turns out
Yeah.
a 3 mana planeswalker that off-color decks are splashing the colors for just so they can play it. That's pretty nuts. Like, I mean, I saw some burn lists playing Oko. Uh, basically
Vintage decks are playing Oko. Let's
vintage
put it that
decks.
way.
Yeah, no, Oko is an incredibly powerful Magic card, and I love it when Magic's designers push sets and they push power levels and all that. You'll never hear me complain about a card that does so many cool things like Oko does. But Oko is an incredibly powerful Magic card, and unfortunately, when it's I think at GP Austin, I think it was played in something like 40 out of the top 90 decks or something like that. And
I think it was more than that. Yeah, it was something ridiculously large.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it was only played in over 50% of the decks. Okay, well,
I mean, at this point, Oko is essentially it's gonna be mental misstep. It's just he's gonna be banned in every format. I mean, he's played a ton in Legacy. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get banned in Legacy, to be completely honest. He's just way too good. I'm right there with you, Kody. I don't have any ill will towards Wizards design team. I think people give him a little bit too much flack. I love the fact that they're trying new things. After the Kaladesh block, I think they went way too weak with Ixalan, and Ixalan was kind of boring and forgettable. So I love Throne of Eldraine, and I'm pretty stoked about the new Theros set. So if this is kind of the power level they're going for, which it sounds like it is, you know what? They're gonna make mistakes, but as long as they're okay with the ban list, and I mean, people have kind of gotten pretty nullified to the fact that bans happen as often as they do. I mean, if you think back to it, standard bannings were reserved for like only the most wicked of cards. I mean, now it's become kind of a common thing, and people are pretty used to it, and the market kind of adjusts pretty quickly to it. I mean, you see the broken cards, they don't spike in price like they used to, because people are like, oh man, this is going to totally get banned. I don't want to spend too much on it. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately,
cool stuff, and ban it if it needs to be banned.
Yeah, again, Oko is a powerful card, and they gave it a shot. They gave it its chance. And sorry, Oko, you were just too much. So the next card I want to talk about is we'll talk about the higher cost card over the lower cost card, because I think the lower cost card would engender a little bit more discussion. But so the other card is Mycosynth Lattice. For those of you who are not aware, it is a 6-mana artifact, and it says all permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. All cards that aren't in play, spells, and permanents are colorless. Players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. So the reason Mycosynth Lattice is banned, you might wonder, hey, that's such a weird specific card to ban. Why would they ban that? Well, it's because of another card from a recent set, and that is Karn, the Great Creator, from War of the Spark. Karn costs 4 and has a starting loyalty of 5, and has a static ability. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. And then it has a -2, where you can choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile, reveal that card, and put it in your hand. So basically, it creates what Magic players refer to as a wish board. You can basically just grab something from outside the game, aka your sideboard.
When you wish upon a Karn.
Yeah, so basically,
as long as you're colorless, you'll go far.
So the interaction
when
that Karn,
you wish upon a Karn. I'm done.
Okay, I was gonna say I can just edit this all out. I'm kidding. I'll leave it. It was wonderful. But so
I just serenaded you. You're welcome.
The mix
You're
of
welcome,
Karn,
internet.
The mix of Karn, the Great Creator, and Mycosynth Lattice, basically making it so that your lands can't tap for mana, your creatures can't attack. Basically just locked the game, and it wasn't an instant win because your opponent also couldn't attack. it was just a lock. And
the game just ends.
Yeah, the game is just over.
It's you win the game.
Yeah, and so the basically Karn on its own is a very powerful card. Not unlike Oko, especially because Karn is played in a lot of Tron lists. But at the same time, if you're able to just like tutor a win con out of not even your deck, out of just your sideboard. And as far as I know, there aren't too many cards that deal with sideboards, at least that are, black border legal. So it's too easy, and then in Tron, you have 6 mana on the regular, so you can tutor it in one turn and then play it and then just lock your opponent out. And that's just not very fun Magic.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what they just neutered Karn. Lattice is a miserable card to play against. Again, because you can just win out of nowhere. The Tron decks already were strong enough with the Karn Liberated and the big creature win cons that you can play in the traditional decks. Having the extra Karn in there that would auto lock the game too just made it too flexible. I'm completely fine with this. I think it makes a lot of sense. And again, they could have just banned Karn the Great Creator and called her a day, because then Lattice becomes a worthless card again. But again, I think the design space around Karn the Great Creator is good enough where they want to keep it in the format to see what people can do with it without the degenerate Lattice in play. And Lattice just doesn't do anything except for make games bad. So
yeah, and you can still do similar things with liquid metal coating, which is also played in the deck. Liquid metal coating is an artifact that turns a permanent into an artifact, but it only does one thing. So if liquid metal coating doesn't stop the game, it does basically the same thing, but just to a lesser degree, and doesn't completely lock you out from losing. Especially against Merfolk. So the main problem that we have with this in Merfolk still is Karn can still tutor out Ensnaring Bridge. So make sure you're packing your Brazen Borrowers and your Echoing Truce. Those are cards that, and I've even been running Repeal to some success. And I think that as long as you're running some sort of effect that can bounce the Ensnaring Bridge, you can still get there. It's not an instant loss. Now, the last card that was banned, and this is one that I think we're going to have the most to talk about, is Mox Opal. Mox Opal costs 0. It's a legendary artifact, so that you can only have 1 in play, which honestly kind of makes it a little bit more fair. But it has Metalcraft. Tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So Mox Opal kind of made a name for itself in Affinity. Which is a mainstay of Modern, and I'm sure most people are familiar with it. But really, what kind of broke it was Urza High Artificer decks. I think it was down
there, youngin.
I think it was
KCI originally kind of broke it.
Well, fair, but I think that
or
the
Urza
decks,
was it played in eggs?
I believe it was played in eggs. But I think that,
I mean, it's had a wanted poster on its back for a long time.
I'm just saying that I think that the Urza decks were the ones that pushed it over. Like that, like
of course.
Obviously, it's a very powerful card. Being able to pay 0 for something that gives you mana is incredibly powerful. I ran it for a hilariously brief time when I had Cheerios put together. And it was a fun...
The future of Modern, Cheerios! No one will ever figure that out.
Yeah, I really tore down my meta with Cheerios in Modern. That was...
I legit have one buddy who still was running Cheerios and loves the deck. And when the Opal ban came today, he literally texted me. He's like, my Cheerios deck is dead. I am so pissed off at the world right now. Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, he might be the only person in the world who's pissed off about the ban because of Cheerios.
Yeah, and honestly, like, Cheerios is probably the only deck that was using Mox Opal in an even remotely fair way, because Mox Opal is a busted Magic card. And even then, Cheerios is basically just Storm, so, here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean... Mox Opal, it's been a staple of Modern since its inception. It's been in Modern Masters. It was in Modern Masters 2015, and
Yeah.
I can only see this card kind of dropping now. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it was such an expensive card for so long, and
It was at $100.
yeah,
I'm not a finance guy by any means, but my speculation is it's going to take like a 50% hit, 40% hit. Um, I mean, it's down to Legacy. I mean, it's played a lot in Legacy, but Legacy's just not played a lot anymore. And then you have people who are going to want a couple copies for like Commander and things like that. But even in Commander, it's not like something that's going to go in every deck. So it is what it is. I mean, if you paid $400 for opals, I feel I'm sorry, man.
yeah, it feels
I'm sorry,
bad.
friend. The feel bads are there, and I get it. I get it. But as far as the format was concerned, again, I don't think I was alone in kind of abandoning Modern and jumping ship. And I mean, anybody who's listened to the cast for a while, who remembers who I am because I haven't been here in a while, knows that I was a huge Modern guy. I was mostly Modern and Commander for many years. But with the inception of Pioneer, I just it needed to happen. It just is what it is, and kind of Affinity and Hardened Scales are gonna pay the price for the sins of Urza, and sometimes it just happens that way.
Yeah, because Urza is technically responsible for Karn, right? Like story wise.
And sorry, yeah,
Yeah. So technically, yeah. If Urza sins for Karn being able to pull out Mycosynth Lattice, it's all Urza's fault.
But gather around, children. I got some story time for you. So way back when, there was a winter. It was called Eldrazi Winter, and a card died for the Eldrazi sins, and that was Ayabugan. Ayabugan was one of the primary win conditions of Tron back in the day, and a lot of people said Tron is now a dead deck because Ayabugan is no longer viable. To this day, I would say those people were wrong. So who knows? Kind of what I'm getting at in a little bit of a cheeky way is, first of all, I think the Urza decks are not dead by any means, and I think Urza is probably on the watch list still, and ultimately might just have to get banned in this format. But what I'm saying is Affinity and Hardened Scales, are they dead? I mean, I would probably lean so, yes, but you never know. There might be a way that they can make it work. So, and with Theros, the new Theros set, we're getting teases of Phyrexians, so maybe Wizards kind of has a new hotness waiting in the wings to appease Affinity players. So wait and see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye out and see what WotC has in store for us. But I think I'm most glad for Mycosynth Lattice. I've just lost so many games just from, oh, I wasn't able to stop Tron. Oh, I'm just dead. And it's like, there's no way for me to interact with it once it's there. And you just lose games. And
here's the irony, though. I mean, and you're saying that like the Lattice, and I mean, I completely get it, but I mean, and that's against Tron, which Tron versus Fish. I mean, Fish usually had the better matchup, at least for many years. But if you think about it, like for how long had Affinity just been an auto loss for the Merfolk decks? And that's not the first one that comes to your mind. Like Merfolk players, you would think would be like doing like the Munchkin dance from the Wizard of Oz, because Affinity is now out of the format, or most likely out of the format. But again, that's not where your mind goes to, because the format's just gotten so degenerate lately.
Well, yeah, and to speak to Affinity, I mean, I started playing Merfolk, a couple of years ago, but in the same breath, honestly, almost the entire time I've been playing Merfolk, Affinity hasn't been a top deck. It's because there's always been something that's the boogeyman, whether it's been the Eldrazi, whether it's been Tron, because Tron is always the default boogeyman. Everyone always goes back to Tron being too powerful, too consistent, whatnot. And Affinity is kind of always,
after Twin left the format.
After
Tron kind of became the quote unquote boogeyman, but It's unlike Twin. Tron never got the ban hammer.
Yeah, and I think Twin was banned in 2015, 2014 or 2015, if I remember correctly. And so
when was it part of the Modern Masters? Because it was right around that time.
it was 2015.
That was 2015. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So the Affinity is a very powerful deck, and I'm not saying that it's dead by any means, but it'll just have to be fair, like Merfolk, I guess. It'll be more like Merfolk than it ever has been. But you're right, it often is just an auto loss, and I mean Merfolk Trickster kind of helped out a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same token, if an Affinity deck had a just a stacked 7, they could, even a stacked 6, they could really put the hurt on you and make it just very hard for you to do anything. But yeah, I mean it's a card that's a lot of people have been asking to get banned for a long time, and the day has finally come.
And when it comes to Affinity, though, I mean, I can foresee something along the lines of the Affinity players figuring out another quick 0 mana cost card they can play in its place. I mean, who knows? Maybe they can somehow jam Mox Amber in there and make it work. Again, maybe Wizards is going to print in the new Phyrexian a 1 mana or 0 mana blue artifact legend. Something like that. Something that will allow the Affinity player to play Mox Amber almost immediately and get some value out of it. So again, we'll just have to wait and see and see what's going down the line. I don't think Affinity is going to be dead forever, and I think Affinity players will somewhat adjust. But this one hurts. I get it.
Actually, I think Mox Amber would keep Cheerios alive because you play SRAM in that deck. So you could,
there you go.
You could swap out Mox Ambers.
Yeah, but in all fairness, the Opal was allowing you to play SRAM a lot quicker, whereas you have to have SRAM down faster first before you can play the Mox and get value out of it.
Well, I just meant that, like, even though you're still gonna have to thread the needle, but it'll definitely be a tighter squeeze.
No, I get it. We're losing percentage points here, so it is what it is.
Well, let's define our terms, gentlemen. Are we talking about redistricting or are we talking about reapportionment? Because
So one thing that I did, because I actually did a little prep work for my glorious return, I put a list together, and Kody doesn't know about this, of cards that I think are on the watch list.
Gasp.
I was hoping I could. What?
I said gasp.
Gasp. I know. So I was hopefully I could just run through them real quick and see what Kody thought, and see if I'm just crazy or not.
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
But I mean, we can pound this out real quick because I know we got to talk about a deck. So first one that I think is I would say this is probably the next one that's probably gonna get banned. Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, that's fair. Ancient Stirrings just makes Tron more consistent. It makes basically any deck that's looking for just a specific land. I know that I think Urza's even play it. I mean, I guess a lot of those decks were splashing green for Oko, but throwing in Ancient Stirrings in there isn't too bad of an option. Yeah, it's a very powerful card, and I know that that's something that kind of has been on the back burner just because of all the incredibly more powerful things that have been in play, or on the table for bans. But I think Ancient Stirrings might be. I wouldn't be surprised.
The trinity for Magic players complaining had always been Ancient Stirrings, Mox Opal, and Faithless Looting. There's only one left standing, and I don't think that one's going to be left standing much longer. All right, next one, we can probably hit it really quickly. Urza.
Yes, I think so. Urza is a very broken card, and just enables a lot of shenanigans. I think that Urza could see ban. I know that they're trying to skirt that by banning Mox Opal to see if they can slow that deck down. And a combo deck that doesn't go off till turn 5 isn't a bad combo deck, but it's not busted.
I look at it a lot like Bridge from Below with the Hogak. Is that Opal's dying for Urza, just like Bridge from Below died for Hogak.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Urza's still going to be really, really strong, and I think ultimately Urza just has to go.
Well, yeah, and obviously, if we look back at Wizards' history of banning things, they usually try to like, you know, like they try to shoot the zombie in the knee and not take the headshot. And so it's like in the Eldrazi Winter, a really good example is Ivugin getting banned, and that just dropping those out of the deck made it slow enough that it wasn't an incredibly oppressive deck. And so that's a way you could still play Eldrazi, and a lot of people just kind of threw their leftover Eldrazi into Tron and did it that way. Would honestly not a bad way to do it. Reality Smasher still does Reality Smasher things, and it doesn't make the deck unbeatable, but it does make it by banning the card, it'll slow it down enough, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell if Urza is long for this format.
Next one, and this is probably my last one of the tier ones of the ones I'm pretty sure is going to get banned eventually. Once Upon a Time.
What card is that? I know that's a newer one. Let me pull it up here.
So Once Upon a Time is 1 green and 1. Look at the top, I think 4 cards of your library. Now I'm going to probably be wrong. But then you can pick a land card or a creature card and put it into your hand. But if it is the very first card you play of the game, you get to play it for free. And I believe it's an instant.
Yes, so it is the top 5 cards. I did pull it up.
Top 5. Thank you.
It is banned already in Standard and Pioneer and Historic.
Kind of like Oko, just kind of working its way down.
Yeah, it's just kind of working its way through the formats and going, okay, no, not for you. No, definitely not for you either. As a free spell, like, you could do worse. It's basically a free Ancient Stirrings, as long as it's the first thing you do. Like, that's honestly not bad. And just, honestly, at 2 mana, it's not broken. Like 2 mana Ancient Stirrings, I don't think would be as terrible.
If it wasn't for the fact that it was free, you don't play this card to play it for 2.
No, you don't. But I mean, obviously, you would still run the 4 in hopes that you have this in your opening hand.
You hopefully get one. You hopefully get 1 for free. Then you have some backups if you need in your hand to play late game if you start running out of gas. All right, so this is kind of like my tier 2 of the ones I could see potentially going. Manamorphose.
So
free mana, quick, draw a card.
It is free mana and draw a card. And as much as Wizard loves Storm, I think that it's always been such a fun thing to see Storm players try to keep that deck together. And like, I think Manamorphose would just be the death nail. Like, I don't think you can come back from that. Like, just being able to add any 2 colors and then draw a card, it keeps your Storm count rolling. I think if that goes, then Storm just loses all hope.
I don't disagree. I the main reason I have it on here is because I believe that Wizards is trying to get rid of fast mana in Modern. And I think now that Opal's gone, that's one of the better fast mana cards in the format, and I think people are going to start playing it a lot more.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see it.
So I think the true power of it in the format hasn't been shown yet. That's why I kind of have it on my tier 2.
I could definitely see it being on a watch list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just to see, because obviously these bans, like taking out Mox Opal is going to change a lot of things. And I mean, as far as like the speed of the format, I think that Mox Opal is the most impactful.
Yep.
And so it's definitely going to be something that they're going to keep an eye on until the dust settles on the Mox Opal ban, and then they'll kind of reassess maybe after a GP or 2 and see where things are.
Completely agree. So next is on the same thing with Manamorphose, so we don't have to hit it too hard, is the Mana Monkey. Simian Spirit Guide.
Oh, Simian Spirit Guide. Yeah, I could see that going. It's just free mana. Thing. It's free mana.
Yep.
I mean, if you're casting Simian Spirit Guide, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you get lucky and have a turn 1 or turn 0. Was it Ensnaring Bridge? Yeah, seems good.
Yeah, and then just you have most of your hand empty, so yeah, you just kind of sit there and just wait.
Okay. Prime time.
Yeah, I could see them banning the amulet.
Something from the Titan deck is kind of what I'm thinking. Either the amulet or prime time. I went with prime time, but I thought the amulet could go as well.
I could see them doing the amulet first, because Titan decks could exist without the amulet. It would just be a lot worse. It would definitely be a lot more basic driven, basic land driven. But I think there's definitely ways that people could still build that deck without the amulet, and not any that come to mind, but definitely it would just be a much slower deck. Yeah.
All right, I got two more. And these are kind of my tier 3. I don't think they're going to get banned, but I think it's worth at least talking about. Arkham's Astrolabe.
Arkham's Astrolabe is very interesting. In similar ways to the way that Manamorphose is interesting, just like the drawing a card, basically costing nothing, being a filter source. I don't think that filter sources are going to be so powerful now that Oko's out of the format, because a lot of people were definitely splashing filter sources just so they could squeeze in an extra Oko, and
people play snowlands now just for this card.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I could see it maybe going for sure. Again, it's definitely something that once Mox Opal's gone, we'll have to see where Astrolabe lands.
All right, and the last one, I'm saving it for last. I don't think it's going to get banned, but I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about it, and I thought it could be interesting. Aether Vial, completely shake the format to its core.
Oh yeah, that would shut down a lot of decks for sure. I don't think it would.
I don't think it kills Merfolk, but I mean, but definitely would be a different type of deck. I mean, human spirits. I mean, any of the tribal based decks, the creature based decks.
Yeah, except for like goblins and elves, it wouldn't matter as much.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it would definitely be a kick in the knees to humans. It would definitely be it would make pretty much every single tribal deck slower, and I don't think there's a tribal deck out now that is like a problem in the format.
Unless humans gets a lot better with all these bannings.
Yeah, humans does stand the most to gain the most from this banning. I don't know if it'd be enough for them to ban Vial, but it would definitely shake Merfolk to be a different deck. It would be more like the Pioneer version. I think going to green for Coco would probably be the way to go at that point. But again, it would be that'd be a rough one.
Yeah, and that's just more of Wizards trying to figure out what they want Modern to be. Obviously, I did not say Urza's Tower or Karn because Wizards will not ban them because I said so. But one thing that, again, this is a completely different subject. This is kind of just a thought process, a thought exercise. But with the launch of Pioneer, where does Modern go? Does Modern become Pioneer Plus, or does it become Legacy Light? And I don't know the answer. I don't know if Wizards does yet either. It sounds like it's trying to be more Pioneer Plus with the way the bannings have been going. I think they should if they were going to go to more Legacy Light, they should have been more aggressive on the unbannings to solve some of these problems. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But again, I thought the format was dead, at least in my opinion, and my ears are now up. I'm not racing to my LGS to play any or Modern games right now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future.
I agree with
what's old becomes new again.
I agree with your assessment about kind of how they're hedging with the way they're doing the bannings. It would make sense that, like, if they did want to push it more towards Legacy, they'd just be like, yeah, let's leave Oko and let's unban this, and let's unban that, and let's unban Twin, and let's like just let the format kind of go a little bit more wild to see where things shake out then. because
honestly,
obviously,
I don't think Twin's good right now.
No, I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying like they would probably be more liberal with their unbannings, and Twin would be a very safe unban, I think, if you were trying to go for like a more legacy feel.
Sure.
But I think you're right. I think if they're trying to keep it as closer to the Pioneer side than they are to Legacy, then they would do the more conservative thing and try to make it as accessible as possible. And honestly, Wizards having 3 accessible F&M formats is not terrible. Having Standard, Pioneer, and Modern, at least for the time being, is not a bad business strategy. You're selling cards to lots of people. And keeping Modern alive is not the death nail to any other format, really. It people that like Modern will continue to play Modern, and people that have no interest in Modern can pick up a Brawl deck, or they can play Standard, just like they were, and Modern will just be its own thing.
We have an embarrassment of riches right now coming from Wizards. I mean, people like to complain, but I mean, realistically, we got tons of formats. They're all viable. They're all fun. I mean, we're not even talking about like Pauper or Oathbreaker or some of the other stuff that's just been like player driven. That's just kind of taken off. So no, we're doing real well as Magic players right now.
I wholeheartedly agree. So, do you want to move on to the next topic? Because I think we have a really cool deck that we want to look at.
Yes. Sorry, I took us on a 20-minute.
No.
Sorry, guys. This is gonna be a long one.
No, that was fine. And this deck honestly probably won't take that long, because we're looking at so this was put up on MTG Goldfish, submitted by user VTOL1. And it is a new Merfolk list that uses a new card from the new set, Theros Beyond Death. And so we'll start with the cards that we already know.
In all fairness, though, our preview cards were better than this one. Just saying.
I really like Thassa's Oracle, but it'll be interesting because I don't necessarily think that Thassa's Oracle is meant for a Merfolk deck, but in this case, it is. So we're starting off with some fairly familiar faces. We have 4 of Benthic Biomancer, 4 of our two lords there, Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident, 4 of Merfolk Trickster, 4 of Silvergo Adept, 4 Spreading Seas. We're also running 12 Islands, 4 Castle Vantresses, and 4 Mystic Sanctuary. This player is also playing 4 of Negates. I think that maybe playing some number of like Repeal or some way to bounce things would be interesting as well. But Negate's fine. It stops any non-creature spell, and that's basically all this deck cares about. It cares about protecting its creatures from removal. So the cards that we have not discussed are kind of interesting cards in Magic's history. So one of them, Cheerios All-Star Paradise Mantle. So Paradise Mantle is an equipment that costs 0. It says equipped creature has tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and equip 1. But this deck is also running 4 of Thassa's Oracle, which is the new card. So I'll go ahead and read it. It's blue for a Merfolk Wizard, and it's a 1/3. And it says, when Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. So this, we're not looking to push through damage, and Spreading Seas is in here likely just to disrupt our opponent's mana rather than to grant Island Walk. But it's a good side effect to have, because we obviously have our lords, so if we have to get in through damage, we can. But the way this deck wins,
I think that's 100%. You're 100% right on that. I think it's to attack on 2 fronts: the combo front and the aggro/tempo front.
Yeah, and so obviously Merfolk Trickster and just the lords and Silvergill, make this deck act very similarly to a regular Merfolk deck, but just also with a combo finish. We're also not running any Aether Vial in this deck. So the reason this deck works or wins on a combo front is because of a merfolk named Puresight Marrow, and it is Azorius for a 2/2 merfolk wizard.
And when Kody says Azorius, it's the hybrid mana, so you can play blue or white.
So in this case,
we'll be playing just blue in this deck, just FYI.
Yeah, so we're only playing blue. We don't have any white sources in this deck, and you don't need them, to be honest, because the Puresight Marrow adds 2 devotion. But the main part
you can make white with Paradise Mantle if you want to get cheeky.
Yeah. So that's actually how this card works, because Puresight Marrow has Azorius, so you can pay white or blue and untap it to look at the top card of your library. You may remove that card from the game. So the way this deck wins is you play Puresight Marrow, you attach Paradise Mantle to Puresight Marrow, then you tap it. I mean, you can't do this the turn it comes into play. You have to wait. So it doesn't have summoning sickness. But you tap Puresight Marrow for a blue or a white mana. And then you use that blue or white mana to untap Puresight Marrow to look at the top card of your library and then remove that card from the game. And you basically do that until you have less than or equal to your devotion to blue, and then you play Thassa's Oracle, and then you win. And that's it.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting deck. So let's. I actually want to also talk about the non-basic lands, because we're not playing any caverns, we're not playing any mutavaults. So we're playing 4 of Mystic Sanctuary, which are islands. They tap for blue, and they enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more islands, 3 or more other islands. And it says when Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So this is a way to get your negates back. Because we're just protecting our creatures from removal. That's the biggest thing. And Castle Vantress again is a non-basic land. It comes into play tapped unless you control an island. So that can be a Mystic Sanctuary or an island. It has tap to add blue or 2 blue scry 2.
Can I say that I absolutely hate the Mystic Sanctuaries in here?
Yeah, I
think there's. I mean, maybe you run 1 or 2, but like, if you're running 4 and you have you draw like an island and like a Mystic Sanctuary in your opening hand, then you have a Mystic Sanctuary that comes into play tapped.
That's fair. Yeah, I didn't think about it until you started talking about it, and then I was like, oh yeah, because like if you go like island Mystic Sanctuary, you could just be done. And you're not.
And with the 4 Castle Vantresses as well, because those aren't islands. And you don't have your Aether Vial in here, so
you need to hit your 2 mana.
Yeah, and what's the Mystic Sanctuary really doing? You can only grab instant sorceries, and you have 4 negates.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's assuming you've drawn a negate, and you've casted a negate, and the juice doesn't seem worth the squeeze for me. But other than that, I think the deck is actually really cool. And when I saw Thassa's Oracle spoiled, I'm like, ooh, are we going to see the modern Merfolk deck completely change as we know it, from a tempo deck to a combo deck?
And it honestly might.
It might. It really might. But I think, however it goes, I think this who is the person again? Volt 1 or whatever.
Yeah, the guy's name is. VTL 1.
Yeah, whatever they did, I think they're kind of on the right track. Very similar to how some of the combo decks are going right now, where they attacks on 2 fronts. So you have to, if you're not going all in combo, you're making the person play defense a little bit on the creatures coming in, but then the combo's waiting there in the wings if you can set it up, which makes it really hard to sideboard against when they're attacking with that many angles, especially as quick as the Merfolk deck can be. I think this deck is missing the. I think you have to keep the vials though. I mean, I know. Maybe you have to cut the spreading seas, or at least put the seas on the board, but I think the vials have to be main deck.
Yeah, because it would definitely be helpful to just vial in Thassa's Oracle, after you've sat there and Paradise Mantled your way to victory, to just go, in response to removal, Flash and Thassa's Oracle win the game. You know, like,
and again, maybe even take out the negates and put in Force Negations instead.
Yeah, I think Force of Negation is probably the better pick. This deck costs $98 in paper and 7 ticks online. So maybe it was built with a budget in mind.
Clearly not optimized, but again, I really I see where the guy's going, and I'm buying what he's selling. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and the sideboard is fairly simple. It's 4 of Relic of Progenitus, which is fair given the amount of graveyard interaction that we have running around. 4 of Deprive, which again, if you're not going to run the Force of Negations in the main, definitely at least in the sideboard, that seems like a no-brainer. Having free counterspells to protect your Puresight Marrow is definitely important.
Agreed.
4 of Kopala, Warden of Waves. That's the Merfolk that taxes removal that targets a Merfolk you control. So I think Kopala is good. Maybe even switch it up to 2 Kira and 2 Kopala. But that again, that might be a budget consideration for the author of this deck. And 3 repeals in the sideboard as well. Again, I've had a lot of success with repeal just because of the extra draw card. And honestly, most of the time when you're getting rid of something, you're getting rid of just an Ensnaring Bridge or I guess in this case you could bounce the Puresight Marrow back to your hand, for only 3 mana and then draw a card on top of that. It's I think this list looks like fun, and I'll probably have to put it together and stream it here.
So what I'm hearing is we're both agreeing that this deck has fins.
Yes, I agree with that. We might have to run it through a league and see what kind of damage we can do with this.
For 7 ticks, I think we can afford that.
Well, it wouldn't even be 7 ticks because we only need the Puresight Marrows and the Thassa's Oracles, and we're set.
There you go.
Actually, it would be kind of fun to do that in Legacy. It'd be kind of fun to run this in Legacy as just a combo deck, combo kill win. It would definitely be out of nowhere. But any closing thoughts on this deck besides it just looks like a pile of fun?
No, not really. I think that this is completely the budget version. I think it needs to be optimized a little bit, but I think there's definitely something here. It's very close to when I saw the Thassa's Oracle about the way I would do it. I would really... The fact it's a 3-card combo right now with the Marrow, the Oracle, and the Paradise Mantle, I'm curious if there's a way we can make it more efficient.
Well, so the Puresight Marrow doesn't have to be alive for you to win.
I get it. It's just you got to have. I prefer it being a 2-card combo. Is what I'm saying.
That's fair. I don't know how else.
A 3-card combo in Modern can be kind of rough.
That's fair. I don't know how else this deck would work, unfortunately. But we'll see.
I've never come to be a brewer, but I'm like a food critic. I can't cook, but
it definitely stinks.
I will critique your hard work.
Well, I think that about does it for our show today. Remember that you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, Patreon, everywhere. YouTube is @FishcastMTG. You remember to.
Hey, are we allowed to be excited about next week's episode? Because I'm pretty stoked.
Yes, we do have a special guest. I don't know if we want to quite reveal who it is yet, but we have a very.
Oh no, not yet, not yet.
We have a very cool guest, and both myself and Matt and Dorian are all very excited about this excellent guest that we're about to have on. So keep hold tight to your pantaloons or whatever you're wearing. If you're listening to this in the 1850s for some reason, and make sure to check out that episode. Remember that if you have a long form question, you can feel free to email us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt, and our logo and stream art was done by Ishjan on Twitter, with our animated intro, of course, by the illustrious Jake Boss MTG on Twitter. If you like what we're doing
here,
Jake. Yeah, Big Jake. If you like, if you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play podcast app stores, as well as find us on Patreon at patreon.com/fishcastmtg. This is Matt and Kody signing off, and we will see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.